What are some of the emotions come with debt? I can suggest a few. Pain, fear, stress, frustration, anxiety, guilt, shame. Shame's a big one. It's shame that causes husbands to not tell their wives, wives to not tell their husbands. We don't tell our coworkers, we don't tell our bosses, we don't tell our friends. We're mainly afraid that people are going to judge us like we did something wrong for getting into debt. And the process of getting through debt for me was the process of working through the emotions. I was feeling all of these things. I was paying $3,600 a month in interest. When I added that up with my regular mortgage and expenses, it was close to $9,000 or $10,000 a month. I wasn't working at the time for several reasons. One, I had a commitment to my investor's heir, who was my new business partner, to finish my film and sell it. So that was a full-time job. Two, if anybody follows the entertainment industry, it was right when the Writers Guild of America was on strike and the Screen Actors Guild of America was threatening to go on strike. So there wasn't a lot of work to get, and the economy was changing. So I wasn't working. I was paying nearly $10,000 a month with $3,600 a month in interest. I did the math. I had about 6 months to go before I was completely destitute, out of the house, on the street, me and my dog living on a corner. And the whole thing at that time was focused towards finishing the film, having a screening for distributors, and selling the film. Now, I'd done this 8 times before. I've been a filmmaker since 1992. One of the things we're going to talk about today, and that I noticed from a lot of my readers, is that they've lived their lives a certain way and it's worked for a long time. Whether it was a job with a regular income or a small business person or a larger business, whatever it was, they were going out into the world, and for 10 or 15 or 20 years, we've been living our lives in a certain way. We've been making income, we've been paying our expenses, and it's worked. And suddenly right now, for a lot of people, it's not working. And we find that we're getting into debt doing everything the way that we used to. And that's a very frightening place to be. Where does that go? So I'd made 8 films in my life. I'd sold them all. I'd paid off all my investors. I'd made enough profit to live to make my next movie. We get to the spring of 2008, and we're ready to screen the film. We had distributors from all over town coming to see it. The day we screened the film was the day the Federal Reserve bought Bear Stearns. And the headlines all over the country were, credit is gone. There's no credit anymore. There's a limited amount of credit in the world, the same way there's a limited amount of physical money in the world. The Federal Reserve controls the amount of physical dollar bills that are in circulation and the amount of credit that can be extended by banks in America at any one time. The European Central Bank does the same thing for Europe. And suddenly that amount of physical credit in the world contracted, and people who buy, companies that buy large ticket items like films, buy films on credit, and there was no credit. So most of our distributors didn't come. The ones who did said, we have no idea what the future of our acquisitions department is. And my plan of, and I was paying my $3,600 a month in interest through this point, my plan of selling the movie, paying off the debt, paying off my investor, making a profit, and moving on to the next film didn't happen the way it had for 8 films in 15 years of my career. And I went, okay, plan B. So plan B was visit a bankruptcy attorney.